Every Friday, our friends at the Dairy Queens of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park, that's Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, and Baseline Road, give us a chance to blow off a little steam. This is a chance for you to bring the heat and give us your hot takes. These are all real emails to talk@ryanjesperson.com. It's the Flamethrower, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. This one from Garth, who says, Jespo, if you could, I'd like to level the vibes, as we say in Jamaica, on a matter that I find is befitting for your show on Black History Month. And what I want non-black, non-racial minorities to understand is if we truly intend to continue moving forward as humanity, we have to learn what belongs where and when. Garth says, now I'm a proud black Jamaican who chose Canada as home, and I took the oath of citizenship. I love this country, especially Alberta, and I will vigorously defend it. Hell, Alberta is the only home that my kids know. But a little jousting in your live chat on YouTube with a guy named Plain Power on Tuesday's show had me thinking about the true meaning of allyship and what it truly means for racial majorities and minorities. Don't get me wrong, says Garth, my message is one of love. He says, to Plain Power, I'm not going to assume their gender or race, but they chose to assume mine in suggesting that my reasons for criticizing Dr. Jody Gondek, the mayor of Calgary, Ryan, your Tuesday interview with her, must be because of her race and gender. Now, I'll say to those who may find themselves in this situation, thinking you're defending somebody by invoking their race, even though they don't play that card, you need to think twice about that. We live in a time where non-black, non-racialized minorities feel emboldened to accuse anybody of being racist when they want to win an argument. Let me clear the air, says Garth. We don't appreciate it. If you're going to be an ally, be an honest one. The accusation of racism is not something I play around with. You can destroy somebody's livelihood, their family life, even their life in general with a simple accusation of racism. And it really irked me to see somebody try to tell me that I'm a racist against another minority without even understanding who I am. All because they just desperately wanted to win an argument. It's people like those that threaten to throw racial harmony back into the dark ages as they seek to use something they don't know or have experience with as a club to beat their opponents over the head. And for those claiming to be allies and using racism as a weapon against their opponents, keep your strength. We don't need your help nor energy. One love from Garth. How about this one from Joe, who says, addressing to the people who ignore or oppose the idea of climate change, says, I hope you're right. You know, the climate is cyclical and this will all right itself, figure itself out maybe within a generation, even though the majority of scientists and statisticians claim otherwise. I hope that this spring and summer we get enough rain that resolves Alberta's drought situation. But if that doesn't come to fruition, are we prepared for what's upon us? The Calgary Herald reporting that depending on how severe the drought is, the energy sector may need to stop producing. If there isn't enough water for the bare necessities, every aspect of our lives will be affected. Every sector will suffer, which will drive up inflation. Joe says conservatives pride themselves as the party that opposes government overreach, opposes regulations. How will the UCP enforce water shortage compliance if it indeed does become severe? No, apologies for the apocalyptic undertones, but Marlena Danielle Smith's denialist government is not prepared for the brewing shitstorm. How do they expect to fight wildfires during a drought? It's only going to exacerbate the wildfires. No amount of arson propaganda will quell public outcry when we can't breathe, we're drowning in debt, and we're parched from a lack of leadership. People who spend most of their time putting out fires are usually the arsonists. Stay optimistic, deniers. Pray to David Parker. Hope he brings you rain. The rest of us should sing along with Baloo and worry about the bare necessities. That from Average Alberta Joe. I love it. How about this one from Shannon, whose email simply reads, excuses, excuses, excuses. She wrote in, says, I'm disgusted with flight disruptions my family's experienced with Air Canada over the past year. She says, if I was late to work this often, I'd be fired immediately. We've paid good money, over $7,000 this year for services that Air Canada provides. We've never made it to a single destination on time once. I cannot comprehend, says Shannon, how business can be run this way. If you look at our wasted time, it totals more than 54 hours, 44 minutes. She's keeping track and says, you're telling us about technical issues, operational issues. You're able to wash your hands of responsibility, and it's unacceptable. She says, I do have one question, though. If there are that many technical and maintenance issues with your planes, should you even be in operation right now? It's believable to receive a message like this for one flight, but for each and every one, give me a break. She says these delays have caused my daughter missed university classes, missed work, lost wages, extra expenditures, but no, Air Canada's not responsible. Again, she says it's believable to claim maintenance or technical issues once, but Air Canada needs to stop lying and tell the truth and, says Shannon, be better. And this one here from Melanie, who says, I'm still experiencing so much anger with the UCP's policy toward transgender youth. We all know the true agenda behind this oppressive policy. It's intolerance and hatred toward minority groups. But to tack on this vague policy about trans women competing in sports is ridiculous. And the truth behind the add-on policy is quite revealing. Believing there's an unfair advantage with trans women competing in sports, then why not just get rid of all women's sports completely? The idea might not be as far-fetched as you might think. Zealous evangelicals have been trying to reimpose this on females for decades. I should know, after removing myself from an extremely religious upbringing and background. The last thing, says Melanie, that the patriarchy wants is for females to discover their strength, exert their independence, and achieve excellence in activities outside of their God-given roles and responsibilities. The slippery slope of taking away one group's human rights will extend to another group, then another, then another. And the first on the chopping block are trans youth and adults in Alberta. The end results could be all human rights stripped away from the undesirables and shall only remain for those deemed to be deserving by the chosen few. Melanie then signs off. Thank you for allowing me to vent my frustration. Melanie, thanks for doing it. You can send us your flamethrower. Fire it up at talk@ryanjesperson.com. And make sure when you visit a DQ in Northwest Edmonton or Sherwood Park, you let them know Real Talk sent ya. Coming up next week, we got a whole lot going on, including an interview, a big one that we can't even give you details on yet. You're not going to want to miss it. Have a great long weekend, everybody. We're back live on Tuesday.